Thank you very much. Namaste. Chair of the WTO Chair Program Nepal, Professor Devi Birari, very distinguished personalities in the dais, Professor Achut Wagle, Registrar of the Kathmandu University, Professor Subramaniam, Professor Dr. Badhavan, and the keynote speaker of today, Dr. Elizabeth, online, former secretaries of Government of Nepal, the professors, research scholars, deans from various universities, guests from WTO headquarters, Geneva, my colleagues from Kathmandu University and other universities of Nepal, our guests from different universities from India, media persons, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to be part of this august gathering of academicians, researchers, and policymakers in this first ever international conference on trade openness, economic development, and economic sustainability. On my personal behalf and on behalf of Kathmandu University, I would like to welcome the foreign delegates to Nepal. I would like to congratulate WTO Chair Program Nepal team for being able to organize this important international conference, inviting the keynote speakers, researchers, and scholars from abroad, in particular in a very short period of 4 months since the launch of WTO Chair Program in Nepal in last October. On behalf of the entire Kathmandu University family, I would like to thank the knowledge management team in WTO headquarters for providing unfailing support to its Nepal program despite several practical difficulties and limitations. Kathmandu University has deeply valued its engagement with the WTO through this program as we strive to make this university in true sense an international research and academic institution in Nepal. Like in its launch event, the presence of all key stakeholders of Nepal, the high government officials, academia, and private sector players is a testament to the fact that Nepal in its entirety is committed to make WTO Chair Program productive initiative to enhance the trade capacity of Nepal and enable the trade sector to contribute for sustainable economic growth and prosperity. As highlighted by distinguished previous speakers and also indicated by themes of the plenary sessions planned for today and tomorrow, Nepal's widening deficit in international trade poses unprecedented challenges both for economic development and economic sustainability. We have no alternative but to enhance our productivity, mainly in agriculture and green energy, promoting SMEs and connecting them with the national and international value chains to have these ends met. A developing country like Nepal, which has ever-expanding trade deficit, faces a multitude of challenges, including increasing productivity, processing and branding of its products, finding the right export market, maintaining the competitive edge in terms of price and quality, and promoting sustainable business through adoption of circular economy, and exploring sources of green and sustainable finance to improve our industrialization and manufacturing capability. Applied and academic research in the area of trade, agriculture value chain, and sustainable business practices generates much required data, evidences, and knowledge needed for policymakers and practitioners alike. Topical deliberations in this conference over the next 2 days, I am sure will showcase this important facet of the endeavors made by WTO Chair Program Nepal. When the academic works in conjunction with continuous and meaningful stakeholders' participation like this, I trust we will be able to make a leap forward in altering the current economic and trade scenario of Nepal, and to some extent of the South Asian subcontinent. The theme of trade openness chosen for this conference is particularly relevant as it is a critical component in economic development and sustainability of any nation in the state. Trade openness has also potential to stimulate economic growth, increase foreign investment, and promote innovation through collaborations. At the same time, we also have a responsibility to evaluate the impact of trade, development, and economic practices on social, environmental, and economic sustainability. When I was just going through the topics of this conference, both on the trade openness, of course economic development is there, and economic sustainability. As a leader of the academic institutions, I was trying to understand what exactly trade openness means for the universities. The institution which is basically responsible for producing a human resource, and I was following the presentation of Prof. Subramanian, that you mentioned about the resources, you mentioned about especially in the context of Nepal, it could be a natural resources, it could be a water resources, but if we see our revenue at the moment, the remittance we get through the human resource, it has a much importance and much value, and we as a university has much role on how can we optimize, how can we make the youth much productive, so that at least we can also create a brand value for human resource production. So in your presentation, I was quite glad. Even a simple coffee bean can do a lot with the good branding. And Nepal historically had a brand for its human resource we were supporting in other countries. Gurkha was a brand, but with that brand, we are living for so many years, hundreds of the years. But the nature of the work which Gurkha used to do is different now. Sometimes I feel so sad. Maybe we are branded as cheap labor. The Nepali youths, almost 4 million Nepali people, when they are working outside the country, and if they are branded as labor, that is really a problem for institutions where I am heading as a Vice Chancellor. Of course, we have mentioned here, like in a presentation of Professor Subramaniam as well as in Dr. Elizabeth, that the future could be the IT. That you have shown several opportunities and prospects for the IT, but I don't know whether we can brand those services or not. And without training, formal education and training, I don't think we can enter into that. We have sold our brand for tourism for so many years. in the beginning, it may be the cultural heritage of the Kathmandu. At present, I think we are selling our brand as a Sagarmatha or Himalayas for the tourism. But I don't know exactly, sir, when we are talking about the trade openness, how can we brand our human resource? And that also educated human resource. And I was just trying to follow when Dr. Elizabeth was talking about the digital economy and the challenges which has come through the WTO for Nepali higher education system, and how do we really brand our products for international market. That is the challenge, and I was following the WTO webpage, and like on the trade topics, under the heading of the services and sector by sector, education service was also the trade. And there is sometimes a dilemma or a confusion, either in the Nepali context and in the subcontinent of the South Asia. I don't know, I can publicly say that whether education is a trade or not. Because sometimes we are told it's a social responsibility or it's a government's responsibility. I'll just read. I was really inspired, at least before I confess, I have not gone through the WTO, at least this page earlier. So I quote the statement there in the WTO page that, I quote, education plays a crucial role in fostering economic growth and development. International trade in education service has grown significantly in recent years. In particular, higher education and other education. Other education is not quite defined, but maybe the formal trainings, the skill or vocational trainings could also be part of that. And also it mentions that an increasing number of students travel abroad for study. And under the three modes there, consumer moving abroad to the consumer service. So WTO considers education and students as the consumers and then the consumer services. The number of branch campus is growing, like the commerce that the education institutions are also the commercial ventures now, because it's also an international business. And finally, the distance learning is expanding and it's creating a cross-border supplies. So I can very easily link and follow both the two keynote deliberations, and which is providing us an opportunity as well as it's giving us a lot of challenges. And also the website of the WTO quotes, education is one of the sector with lowest number of WTO members commitment undergrads. But higher education has the highest number of commitments in this sector. So for this means like all my colleagues where we are working in this sector, and especially I have also been discussing with several other universities where other universities are representing here. For us, it's both the opportunity as well as a challenge. So I think in the context of Nepal also, as identified by WTO, some reforms is needed in the education system. First, even in the context of Nepal, demography is changing. 4 million youths who is supposed to be our customers, our students, they are abroad. How can we retain in the country? At least even if they go, how can we send them with education? That is our challenge. And if this demography we cannot control, and besides this migration, there is also like our birth pattern has also been changing now. It's also, without any policy, it's a one-child policy is becoming. So demography is challenging us, and at Kathmandu University, we are thinking that now we will take advantage of this. As part of our globalization, we have started discussion. If we cannot stop migrating our youth, we will go wherever they are and we will provide the education there itself. That's our strategy, and I hope it will help us. This trade openness of WTO will allow us, and we know that we are just crying like several very good universities from all around the world is coming to Nepal to provide their education. But now it's time for us that we should also go beyond our border and then provide the education to our stakeholders. Reforming public funding, and that is the most challenging, especially in the context of Nepal, where we were from long political transition. I'll just take an example of medical education in this country. Kathmandu University is really proud. We provide almost 50% of the health sector education in this country. And we are not only proud for our own Nepali student, we have also graduated almost 4,000 foreign students with the MBBS program. So out of the 40,000 graduates which we have in last 30 years. But with changes in the political system in the country and then some of the social movements, now all those private medical colleges, they thought like maybe students are their customers. Now with social pressures, we don't know, like in 2030, all these medical colleges, they have to be a not-for-profit or the trust. So maybe the investment, individual investment or investment with the aim of the business, they will pull out and then all of the educational landscape might change. And definitely we would like to take the opportunity of development of the IT. From here we can reach in any part of the world, like any part of the world are coming to our doorsteps. The government of Australia has a target to take 50,000 Nepali students to Australia in a year. But we have also openly started discussing then, why don't we open or provide our education for Nepali youth who will go to Australia, and especially when they are going to Australia, they take a course, vocational courses or diploma level technical courses on IT education. Through that, I think we can also enter into the digital economy. So with this, some of my ideas my feelings, I have been provoking even the government, even other universities, like even in the government policy makers that we have been discussing, because of our commitment to the WTO, we cannot stop other universities to come to Nepal, as well as we cannot stop Nepali students taking letter of intent from the government and going abroad, but at least we have to create that environment. So I hope this particular issue will also be a matter of discussion in this conference, and then it will help us among several components of the resource, this business or trade. Human resource is also equally important, and especially in our context, it will bring us a lot of resources, and then it will be one of the very strong component of trade sustainability for Nepal. With this, once again, I would like to thank all the distinguished guests from abroad for your visit to Nepal. I also wish that your stay here in Nepal will be very present and the conference will be a great success. Our WTO chair program team would be happy to share the comprehensive report on the outcome of this conference with all our stakeholders. Thank you very much.